Hello, good evening, brethren. It's been a while. We thank God for His mercy. This far we've come, and beautifully speaking, it's the season of Passover, Easter, if you would. The season the Lord will commemorate the sufferings, the death, and the resurrection of the Master, our Lord Jesus Christ. I want to use this short video to give us certain insight on the nature of God. The nature of God as He journeys into lesser forms to the point where we can relate with Him. Don't forget, He dwells in light which no man has seen nor can see. Yet, He puts on the light that lights every man that comes into the world. In other words, He descends. In that, I want us to look at the nature, the aspect of His nature called timing and order. Timing and order. If you wouldn't mind, you can call Him the God of timing and order. There is, there are many ways we know God, but this timing and order encompasses so many aspects of His expression. When I say order, I mean the systematic arrangement of His revelation, self-revelation, revelation of truth, and the manifestation of His essence, His program, and His purpose over time. So you see that order is systematic and it's expected to be reviewed within time. So every step God takes in revealing Himself, His plans, His purpose, follows timing. Now, without order, timing, as we know it to be expressed in seasons, will mean nothing. Without order. In other words, what we call season is a revelation of order, and that is revealed in time. So if God has programmed, like to the children of Israel, a 400-year period for revealing Himself, you don't enter into timing and bring about manifestation of God's purpose without order. Now, why God gives this long period is because within it, His order will be revealed. Now, He will pick individuals. He will start the process of transforming them into the capable individuals that will produce the effect the timing is meant to manifest. So you see that the timing is therefore not the real deal. The real deal is the order. Now, in order, we have patterns. In order, we have three categories, three respective categories in which God reveals order. One, it is called from glory to glory. Two, from faith to faith. Three, from grace to grace. If the first level is not fulfilled, the second level cannot manifest. It may not even mean anything to God to stretch the time above the original plan. That is why Israel did not leave Egypt in the 400th year. It was in the 430th year. Why? Because within that period, Moses needed to complete the order of his spiritual development, his evolving, and the manifestation of the Spirit of truth in him to make him capable of bringing Israel out of Egypt. Hallelujah. Now, why this is so important in this season is that as we look towards Easter, as we call it, as a season where we encounter God, as a time where we fellowship, you must understand that order cannot be neglected. In other words, if the season will bring results, you must have completed the process, the patterns in which He has ordained for you to manifest His glory within the time. If you fail in the process, you will miss the timing. If you fail in the pattern, you will miss the timing. So the timing is not actually where the glory lies. There are people who are so bent on timing that they could talk about it all day, all weeks, all months. Just all they care about is, oh, this time is coming, it cannot fail. Timing does not fail only if order is respected, followed circumspectly, and be allowed to have its way. Timing doesn't fail except for this. If timing begins to fail, it's not God that is not faithful. There are people who are used to thinking that God is not faithful. He told me it was going to be last year. I didn't see it. He told me it was going to be 3 years ago. That timing is good. It gives you the bedrock on which you can trust Him. But central to the manifestation of timing as seasons is order. If you take a farmer, for example, why would a farmer expect the timing as season of harvest? It's because there's an order he followed. He sowed, he tilled the earth, he sowed, he watered, he allowed it to grow, he watched over it while growing, removing the weeds and taking care of the necessary processes to the point of harvest. It is when these things are in place that timing produces result. It's high time we stopped being critical of God in a way that is unjust. So there are people today who don't believe God anymore because they said God told them it was going to be 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It wasn't the time that was the problem. It was that you were not available for the timing to produce results through order. You are not available. What were you doing each time God speaks to you and sets a time frame? Go back to God and ask what is expected of me within this period, because it is to that order timing is loyal. The loyalty of timing is not in what was said, it is what was done about what was said. Timing is loyal to order above everything else. And even the very nature of God is revealed through order. So that if men say they have known God over time, it was because there was an order. They followed each phase, fulfilled each phase to produce result. Let's take a very simple example of a child who is in the primary school. Understand that you are expecting the child to leave the primary school in 5 years. That's timing. But within the 5 years, you know that there is an order. There is year one, there is the primary 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you know that each period has 3 terms, with the knowledge base being distributed in those 3 ways. The first semester, or how do you call it, term, you write the exam, you assess the second, you assess the third, then promotion comes. It is not your graduation of your child after 5 years is not dependent on time. It's dependent on the order. If the child followed with discipline, patience, and instructions, the order set by the system for graduation. In the university, you agree with me if you've gone through the system that some people did not graduate in the year they were expected to graduate. Some graduated 4 years on after the due date. There was a guy in our university days, a friend of mine was a friend of a friend. I was that friend, with a common friend, that told me, he said, this my friend going, told him that he's not going to have problem with any lecturer or any course. Each course he has earmarked 2 years. So for the 4-year course, he was going to spend 8 years. That's crazy. I couldn't stop laughing at the time. You get the idea? The idea is that he doesn't want the pressure of the order to upset his freedom. So he has allocated more time so that within that time he will fulfill the order. We cannot continue to make the mistake of thinking that because God said a thing and timing was allocated to it, it will happen within that time. It will not, because God's loyalty is not in time. God's loyalty is in order. He knew, having spoken to Abraham, that there would be a need for a man for every fulfillment of timing. The order is actually the revelation of a man. The order is actually a revelation of a man. So God is going to pick a man. If God says after 70 years is accomplished in Babylon, I'll visit you, that 70 years as timing is going to respond only to order. So a man is going to be picked up to start the journey of the fulfillment. If that man fails, every year he fails, the timing is obstructed, because timing is only loyal to order. If the man is not strong enough to shoulder the burden of that generation, they will wait, they will wait, they will wait, and they will wait. This is why I'm calling us in this season to utilize timing and order in such a way that we begin to think less of timing and more of order. Ask yourself, am I prepared? If God lays the burden of a generation on me, am I prepared? If God says, okay, now let's go, you're pulling this group of people to the promised land, are you prepared? It is in the preparation that timing becomes an enjoyable thing. Timing in itself cannot sustain itself, cannot preserve itself. The very sustenance and preservation of timing is in order. Timing's loyalty, I repeat, is only in order. If you make up your mind today and say, I'm following God within his time, but basically through the order, then I'm getting to my promised land. Notice when he promised the children of Israel to take them to the land flowing with milk and honey, he didn't give them a specific time they'll get there. You know why? Because the order was going to be more stressful than originally thought by any man. I can guarantee you. Exodus 13:17-22 said, when he brought them out of Egypt, he did not take them through the way of the land of the Philistine, although it was nearer. He took them through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. He said, lest the sea war and return to Egypt. So he didn't give them timing. It was order he was following. The order being that their development is essential to possessing the promised land. And he knew they would see war. Why? Because no gate of another level, no gate of another destiny, no gate of another triumphant manifestation of the power of God, of blessing, of blessedness, of enthronement will open without a fight. No gates. There must be confrontation. Apostle Paul says, a great and an effectual door is open unto me. But guess what? There are many adversaries. The adversaries will stretch you big time. I know we are so programmed to think that, don't worry, God knows how he's going to do it. Ask Daniel that his 21 days prayer receive obstruction from the prince of Persia to the tone that he waited more than necessary for result to come. Gabriel said, from the day that you set your heart to seek after God, an answer was given. So what is the problem? The problem is that an obstruction came up to alter the timing. The only reason he did not succeed in altering the timing was because Daniel was already prepared his heart to seek after God. So he was ready for the order, the levels of transformation, the process will drag him through to bring about the manifestation of the timing. So long as he kept himself within that sphere of order, timing was a possibility. I pray God will help us to understand this and think about it. Take your time to think about it. Let's stop looking at God as one who fails. In his promises, he gives you time, and time comes and goes and things fail. It's not because they want to fail or God is not true to his timing. But for every timing God has given, there is another voice called order. It is order that determines the fulfillment of timing. Order is not dependent on timing. Timing is dependent on order. Hold on to what God has said concerning you. Ask yourself, where have I been falling short? What have I not done well? What are the things expected of me? Why? So that as you journey in growth, as the children of Israel move through the promised land, as they journey, the wilderness rather, as they journeyed, they were confronted with situations that brought them up. So as they mature on, So they became valiant men ready to take the promised land. Look forward to the part 2. Let's talk about the situation that happened when they got close to the promised land. How timing of a 40 days journey from where they were to the promised land became a 40 years.